55 years old, Mark has everything: an 8-figure bank account, a real estate empire, and a mansion that everyone envies but no one truly visits. But tonight, inside his own golden castle, he faces a brutal reality. He is a complete stranger in the lives of those he loves the most. Wealth didn't create a sanctuary. It only built a high-end prison. Money cannot buy the warmth of a home, only the cold luxury of isolation. The faces in the frames have grown old without him. He was the provider who was never there, the architect of a life he never lived. Every success had a hidden cost. Every million earned was a moment lost with his children, a brick added to the wall of his solitude. He realizes that while he was busy conquering the world, he lost the very heart of his own kingdom. The silence tonight is deafeningly loud. He built a legacy of stone and steel, but forgot to plant the seeds of connection. Now he stands alone amidst his own magnificent creation. This is the true price of his prosperity, a hollow empire where the king sits on a throne of gold, surrounded by nothing but ghosts. Years ago, Mark believed that love was measured by the balance in a bank account. He was driven by a hunger that never felt satisfied. He told himself, "I am doing this for them." It was the sweetest lie he used to justify his absence and fuel his relentless ambition. He traded bedtime stories for late-night board meetings. He exchanged the presence of a father for expensive toys delivered by strangers in brown boxes. The drawings on the fridge were replaced by revenue forecasts. His children's laughter became a background noise to the ringing of his constant business calls. He refused every invitation to play, convinced that a bigger house would compensate for a smaller heart. The empire was growing, but roots were dying. Every milestone reached felt like a victory, but it was a tactical error. He was winning the war for wealth, but losing the battle for home. He was addicted to the climb. The applause of the marketplace was louder than the quiet pleas for attention from those waiting for him back home. Time became a currency he spent entirely on his ego. He thought he was buying a future, but he was actually spending his family's present. He was physically there, but mentally miles away. The distance wasn't measured in miles, but in the growing silence between him and his own wife. He was moving fast, chasing a sun that never stayed up long enough. He didn't realize that the things he ignored were slowly fading away. The foundation of his empire was being built on the bones of his family's happiness. He was successful, wealthy, and becoming dangerously alone in spirit. By 40, Mark had reached the summit. He was the man everyone wanted to be, celebrated by strangers while remaining a mystery to his own kin. The applause was thunderous, yet it couldn't drown out the silence of the empty chair where his wife should have been sitting. With pride, his son held a school medal, hoping for a glance, a nod, or a word. But Mark was locked in a conference call, chasing another deal. They sat together but were worlds apart. Conversation had turned into polite transactional exchanges, stripped of any real emotion or shared secrets and laughter. She had stopped complaining long ago. The fire of her resentment had turned into the cold ash of acceptance. She learned to live without him. He was becoming a mobile ATM. To his children, he wasn't a hero or a guide. He was simply the man who signed the checks. He commanded thousands, yet he couldn't influence the heart of his teenage daughter. He had power over markets, but zero authority over his own home. He missed the milestones that matter. First heartbreaks, failed exams, and secret dreams were shared with everyone except the man who paid for them. The peak of success is a narrow, windy place. Mark realized he had plenty of room for his ego, but no space for his soul's needs. He drove faster to escape the feeling that he was going nowhere. The luxury around him was becoming a thick skin, hiding a growing internal rot. He had built a spectacular exterior, but inside the house, he was a financial phantom. a provider of things but a thief of his own presence. Success without connection is just a well-lit failure. He had reached the top of the wrong mountain, and the view was starting to look grey. He was a master of the deal, but a novice in intimacy. The language of profit had replaced the dialect of the human heart in his life. By 50, Mark realized he had won the wrong game. He owned the buildings, but he didn't have a single way back into his family. She spoke to him with the formal courtesy one uses for a business partner. There was no affection, no shared history, only a cold, social grace. His wife had found a life where he didn't exist. They were two parallel lines living in the same penthouse, never destined to meet or touch. His prosperity was his life sentence. He had taught his children that money was the ultimate goal, and now they treated him with cold calculation. He had sacrificed the spring and summer of his life for a harvest he had to eat alone. The mirror was his only honest friend left. Indifference is the ultimate punishment. There was no hatred to fight, no anger to resolve, just a void where a relationship should have been carefully grown. He was the architect of his own isolation. Every luxury he bought was another stone in the wall that kept his family at a safe distance. He was an intruder in his own home. He didn't know the inside jokes, the current worries, or the dreams that kept his children awake. The emotional doors had been locked years ago. Mark was just now realizing he didn't have the keys, and he never bothered to learn how. He had all the knowledge of the markets, but was illiterate in the feelings of his kin. He was a billionaire living in emotional poverty tonight. Everything he touched turned to gold, but gold is cold and hard. It doesn't breathe, it doesn't love back, and it doesn't offer any comfort. The table was set for a king, but the king had no court. His reign was absolute over a territory of silence and expensive, empty things. The ambition that once fueled him had burnt out, leaving only a pile of cold ash. He had reached the finish line and found nobody. The truth is a bitter pill. Mark watches a video of a moment he missed, realizing that the pixelated image is all he has of it. Time is the only asset you cannot deposit in a bank. Once spent, it is gone forever, leaving only the ghost of what could have been. A message arrives, but it's not for him. It's for his wallet. His children have learned to treat him exactly as he treated them, as a resource. He owns the forest, but has never felt the soil. He realized he was merely a manager of a life, not a participant in one. The house was a museum of his success, but a graveyard of his family's history. There was no clutter, no mess, and no life here. He had traded the warmth of a hug for the crispness of a dollar bill. It was a deal he would now give everything to undo. He didn't build a family. He ran a corporation called Family, where he was the CEO that everyone wanted to fire or simply ignore. Her voice on the machine sounds happier than it ever does when she speaks to him. He is the shadow that darkens her sunlit world. He is a prisoner of his own making. The walls are thick, the security is high, and the loneliness is absolutely impenetrable in the dark. The circle of his life is complete, but it's empty in the middle. He has the circumference of success, but no center of gravity anymore. The realization is a cold wind that blows through his soul. He has everything he ever wanted, and absolutely nothing that he actually needs. The sun is setting on his empire. The light is beautiful, golden, and fleeting, much like the years he threw away for his grand ambitions. Don't let Mark's sentence become your future. Success without someone to share it with is just a very loud and expensive kind of failure. To those still climbing, remember that the ladder you are on might be leaning against the wrong wall. Look down before you reach the top. Real wealth isn't found in a portfolio. It's found in the noisy, messy, and imperfect moments of a life shared with people who truly know you. He would trade his skyscrapers for one night of genuine, heart-to-heart conversation. He would trade his billions for one more chance to be present. Your children's childhood and your partner's youth only happen once. They are not business projects that can be delayed or rescheduled for next quarter. Empires can be rebuilt, markets can recover, but the bridge of trust and the bond of blood once broken are nearly impossible to mend. Stop building a hollow empire. Start building a legacy of presence. Don't wait until the sunset of your life to realize you are alone. The most valuable things in your life are the ones that money cannot replace. Treasure them while they are still within your reach and your sight. What is the point of prosperity if there is no one waiting for you to come home? Wake up before the silence becomes your only companion. Choose your battles wisely. Don't win the world only to lose your soul. The most important office you will ever hold is at home. Don't build a hollow empire, build a life, because in the end, the only thing that matters is who is holding your hand tonight.